This Week in Talk About Sports.
Hello, and welcome to This Week in Sports for Thursday, March 10th, 2016. I'm Mike McClung, all by myself. Anyway, we're going to start with football like we always do, and by we, I mean I. And we're going to start with some of the big free agent key acquisitions, winners and losers. So somebody I wanted to start with is the Houston Texans. They got their franchise quarterback in Osweiler. Big move for their team. We saw it with the Broncos. You really don't need the greatest quarterback as long as you got a great defense. You're going to be in position to win a Super Bowl, and I think that's what they did. They finally got the guy they wanted. That's a big acquisition for them. A lot of people, though, on the other hand, might argue that they paid too much money. They gave him 4 years, excess of over $70 million. That's a lot of money for a guy that's only made 7 starts in his entire career, so that's something to look into. Winners or losers? I'm going to say winners because they got that franchise quarterback. That's a big step for them. It's better than what they've had the past couple years, and they got a great defense like I already mentioned. Maybe this is what puts them over the top. They got into the playoffs because their division was bad. Maybe now this is what they need to win a playoff game, take that next step, be able to keep going on from here, and try to make a run at the Super Bowl. For losers, I wanted to go over to the Cleveland Browns. They still don't have their quarterback. They're looking for guys. They lost their receiver in Travis Benjamin. They need a quarterback. They need a lot of help, but first and foremost, they need a quarterback. They still haven't gotten it. They're looking to maybe get Kaepernick. That might be something that could happen. So far, nothing, though, and that, I think, is troublesome for them. Also, I wanted to talk about the Denver Broncos. They're in a bad spot because they lost their quarterback in Osweiler. We talked about going to the Texans. That's something that's big for them. They're not going to have a quarterback this year. They still have a stellar defense. They're still going to be a great team. But as far as winners and losers, I think they, more than anyone else, got worse over this offseason as compared to some of the other teams. Anyway, on to spring training now over in baseball. Baseball is getting ready to kick off. Anything that caught our eye, and by our I mean me. And I would like to talk about the Orioles, and I should be over here because they're losers, all right? They're 0-9 so far, and I know it's only spring training, but sometimes that matters. Sometimes you have to win a game, even if these are your replacement guys, your guys that are going to be in the farm system. Who cares? Go out and win a game. You should be able to beat a team in 9 tries, even if you're not as good as them. It's baseball. Anything could happen. I think when you're 0-9, that speaks to problems about the organization as a whole. You got to try to find a way to win a game, try to find a way to get a good outing from a starting pitcher. They really haven't had that, and I think that might be worrisome for them. Winners, I think probably the Mets, I have to say. They're off to a pretty good start, and I think they got Cespedes back. That was something they needed. They've had that kickstart again. I know it's only spring training, very early, but I think it's a good sign for them to have him hitting, have everybody hitting really, and they'll start to come around when pitching starts to catch up, which it usually ends up doing later in the year. Anyway, in the college basketball now, we got this big tournament coming up, and for the team that I'm looking for to make a big run would be Kansas. They're the number 1 seed right now, and I know it's cliche to pick the number 1 team, but they beat up on Oklahoma twice this year. They're the number 1 ranked in their conference. They're looking to win the conference for like the 14th year in a row. It's crazy what they're doing, and they beat a lot of good teams on the way. To me, they're the most complete team, and I think they're going to have a really good shot at it. So from the best team in college to the best team in the pros now, we got the Warriors again. Last week, we talked about were they going to break the record, were they not? I think they're going to. I still thought they were going to last week. I still think they're going to now. Tyler agreed with me. Evan did not. They're the best team in the league. There's no doubt about that. They're going to continue to win. They're 1 game up from where the Bulls were at this point in '96, and I think all they're going to have to do is win 18 out of 20 from here on out in order to get that. I think they're good enough to do it. They have a couple tough games, but a lot of them are at home. I think that bodes well for them. They haven't lost at home yet this year, so it's going to be a good chance for them to go on and break the record and probably the championship. However, they did lose to the Lakers, and that's a little bit troublesome. After the All-Star break, they've only been averaging 1 more point per game than their opponents, so I think that might be something to look at. Are they going to break it still? I sure think so, but when you have stats like that, it definitely doesn't bode well for them, so that's something to look into going forward. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for This Week in Sports. For myself, Mike McClung, I'm Mike McClung. Have a fantastic night.
Falling apart. There's nothing I can do, a total eclipse of the heart.